This is unusual for me. I'm in Logic right now, and I'm going to show you guys how to export out of Logic from the perspective of a Pro Tools user, I guess. All right, so just a little background on why I'm doing this video right now. I am a Pro Tools user. I'm primarily a Pro Tools user. I just started using Logic last month in my digital composition classes at Teachers College, Columbia University. So it was fun to explore Logic. I really enjoyed it, but I don't think I'm going to become, like any kind of authority in using Logic, and I'm not trying to be. So I just wanted to specify that. I just thought it would be very helpful as someone who through my work as an audio engineer, I have people come to me with different sessions and different DAWs, and it's really helpful for me personally to know how to export out of those DAWs for them to send to me to use in Pro Tools. So I just wanted to show you guys how to do that today in Logic, and I hope someone finds that helpful. So this window here is a lot like our edit window in Pro Tools. And basically the first thing you want to do is you want to drag this end marker right here. So you can see when I hover towards the very end, you can see that there's like a highlight that ends right here. And I get this little icon and it's labeled as the end marker, right? So we're dragging that marker towards the end of my song. And I don't really care if it's like a little bit past the end of the song because I'm going to be, in theory, mixing this in Pro Tools, right? So I'll just drag it there and let it hang out there. Just make sure, it's after the end of your song so you're getting everything that you want included. So then it's super simple. It's super easy. This is one of the things that Logic does very well. You just go to File and you go to Export and you want to pick the All Tracks options. So I would, in this session, I have MIDI files and I have audio files. So I'm going to choose the All Tracks as audio files. I would run through that. So I'm going to let it live in my bounces folder, but you could tell it to put the files somewhere else. You can make a dedicated folder for them, right? It's kind of up to you. And then you can just customize it however you want here. For example, I might move things up to 32-bit float. If my session's in 32-bit float, it's kind of up to you. And then I might switch it from AFF to WAV, even though AFF is a perfectly good format. It's very high quality. It's a good option. Pro Tools can take it. I would just avoid CAF if you're going to be working in Pro Tools. I'd do AFF or WAV because those are like the two main options for Pro Tools as well. And then, there are a bunch of settings here that you can dig into if you want to, right? You can have it trim the silence at the file end. You can have it go to the actual project end, for example. You can also choose if you want your plugins to be in effect, right? So that might be handy to bypass those if your engineer wants to add their own. You could also do two versions and send them to the engineer or whoever's working on it, right? Whoever you're collabing with. A lot of times it's really good to see what effects people put on to see what they're going for. But if they don't have something very specific in mind, you might want to redo it when you get into Pro Tools. So it can be good to have a version without the effects on them as well, especially if, you're a beginner and, for example, you're not super familiar with like compression, you might accidentally distort stuff, and it might be good to have a bypassed version. So anyway, we don't need to go into all this stuff, but basically you can choose whatever you want for your purpose for whatever you're doing. Just think about what you're doing and what the goal is, right? Then you can tell it how to name these files, right? So I like doing the track name. I like that option. I think it's a good way to name the files because, I've already named the tracks based on what they are, right? I hope that makes sense. And then I'm just going to hit export. Oh, wow, I stumbled over that. Export. And it goes through it and creates those tracks for you. So now that's done. All I'm going to do, because I do have MIDI files, is go File, Export, All MIDI Tracks as MIDI file. And I'm going to put it in the same folder. I think I'll put it in the same exact one in this case. Oh, I didn't change it to WAV. I said all that and then I didn't change it to WAV. But this gives you the idea. And that's basically it. Now I've exported, I'm ready to send this to someone. So if I go to Command Tab to switch to my Finder window, I have this Bounces folder open. So you can see I have these AFF files that I created. I have the MIDI files. They're all here in this folder, and I could send this to somebody to work on in Pro Tools or in another DAW. So it's funny how I said I was going to switch it to WAV and then I didn't do that. But you know, this is just an example, and I got distracted talking to you, so hopefully that's okay. So that's basically it. I hope someone out there finds this helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'd appreciate all of that stuff. And I do have a Patreon, so it's patreon.com/CatoNoise. We're all hanging out on a Discord server. There's additional content. It's been a lot of fun. And other than that, I come out with new videos every Wednesday, and thank you so much for hanging out. Okay. Let me know if you guys would be interested in hearing about what I learned about Logic. I mean, I wouldn't call myself like a professional Logic user, you know? I'm definitely a Pro Tools person. And I think I've sunk so much time into learning Pro Tools that it's like, it's difficult to get me to learn anything else at this point. Because I'm so much faster in Pro Tools than I am when I first start a DAW. So, yeah, but let me know if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on that. I did have some thoughts. There are certain things that came up where it was like, oh, how do you do this thing? And it would be something that was very specific to working as an audio engineer. Like if you're working on your own music at home, this would not be an issue, right? Or if you're working like a one-man band style in the studio, this would not be an issue. But in terms of like speed while working with clients, there were a few features that Pro Tools has that apparently Logic does not. And I thought that was interesting because I do believe that, you know, it's all kind of, they're all pretty similar. All the DAWs are very good nowadays. And I'm not one of those people who's like, you know, Pro Tools is better than everything else. I just use it because that's what studios use. And, you know, I wanted to work in studios, so I decided to use Pro Tools, right? It's just that's how it is. That's what I did. It's not because I think it's inherently any better or anything, but it was very interesting digging into Logic over the past month. So let me know if you want to hear any thoughts on that. I think I'm rambling now, so I'm going to go. But I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for hanging out.